Welcome to another episode of Bob's Woodshop. Hey, this is going to be the final restoration plane video that I do, and this is the one that's going to cap off my collection. This is a number 7. This thing is old and nasty and rusty and really in terrible shape, so I'm going to be looking forward to getting this thing all fixed up. So why don't you follow along with the process as I get this looking brand new and sharp as a razor. Okay, let's get this bad boy taken apart. Luckily these screws are easy to get out, they're not rusted in. This is a Type 11 plane. This is somewhere about 100 to 110 years old. Really nice fixing up these old pieces of history. Love doing this, it's a lot of fun and very satisfying. That particular screw I did have difficulty with, and I had to put some WD-40 on that and let that soak in. The rest of them were just fine. The tote is broken where most totes are broken down at the bottom, but also at the top. So I have to make a new tote for this. I actually end up making a new front knob as well. The Japanning on this particular plane was not in very good shape. Even if it was, I was going to paint it anyway, but should be no big deal. I'm putting on a product called Citrus Strip, and this actually starts working after about 3 or 4 hours. I let it cook on here overnight, and the paint came off there very easily. I like putting a lot on and just letting it do its job. So really the next day on this, I took this into the laundry room and washed all this stuff off, and a lot of the Japanning did come off, but I still had to clean a lot of it up with my wire wheel, both on the bench grinder as well as on the drill press with a little brush, wire brush. So there's lots of different types of rust remover on the market. I got a gallon of this vinegar for $4, and I think it works just fine. You let it stay in the vinegar overnight and then hit it with a steel brush, it just comes right off. Haven't yet tried Evaporust, and that's kind of an expensive option. I use a different container for the iron, the chip breaker, and the cap. And I don't show it, but this rust came off here very easily with the wire wheel on my bench grinder, as well as I buffed it up. Buffed all of these 3 pieces up very well with various grinders. I didn't record all that. So you're supposed to get the bottom of these things flat, and if you do it this way, you could easily spend several hours, and quite honestly, I don't have that kind of time. There were some deep scratches in this, and by doing it that fashion, it would have easily taken quite a long time. So I went after it with my little power pneumatic sander here. I started with 40 and went all the way up to 600. So next is start preparing it for painting. Use a little bit of blue tape. And then just just do a little trimming. Just use a utility knife and just go through the contour, and this only takes a few seconds. And here's what it looks like after it was all sanded, both on the sole and the sides. You can still see some of those scratches. I guess that they were very deep. So then I went after it with some primer. Notice I got some screws in those bosses there just to keep the paint out of those holes. The tote was in really bad shape, both with the split as well as the top of it was not there, so I decided to make a new one. So I went over to the Lee Valley website and came up with this drawing and just went through the process. I'm using a piece of Paduke here. Little spray adhesive. You notice I date a lot of the products that I buy. Sometimes I use them up within a few weeks or a few months, and sometimes they hang around for years. So I use a couple Forstner bits to drill out the areas where the curves are. I love working with Paduke. It's a very pretty wood and shines up really well. You'll see a little bit later on. Coat this with lacquer. Then take it over to the bandsaw and just cut out the rest of it. So when you're bandsawing, just go slow, and certainly on a contour like this, I have a thin blade on the bandsaw. There's actually 3 different holes that you have to drill. This particular hole is 1 diameter, there's a thinner one going through the whole handle, and then another one on the bottom. Then I started in with the profiling, used a variety of files and rasp, and this maybe took about an hour. Moved it over to my Xyla Spice, and that was a lot easier on my back. So I'm mainly a machine woodworker, but getting back to the roots and using some hand tools like those rasp and files was fun. Then I took it over to the rigid oscillating drum sander here and helped just smooth out some of the curves and take off some of the marks from the rasp. And took it back to the pneumatic sander and just did some final sanding on this. I took this up to a grit of 240. And here's what it's looking like on the plane, and I really like the way that came out. It's beautiful, and it's going to be a good contrast to the white paint. And I went after the sharpening of this with the, this is a trend sharpening stone. It's got 300 on one side and 1000 on the other. This gets it very sharp, and after that I actually took it up and to a 16,000 grit, similar to what Rob Cosman does. So even though the original rosewood front knob was okay, I decided just to match the tote and just made a brand new front knob over on the lathe. Again, this is a nice contrast to the white paint. in this orange reddish color. I did the majority of this by eye. Did use my calipers a couple times to get the inside and outside diameter. So what I'm cutting now is the top of the knob. I've already drilled a hole in the bottom in order to go over the boss that's on the front of the plane. Done a few coats of lacquer, and these shine up very nicely, nice and shiny. Probably put about 5 or 6 coats of lacquer on. The thing I like about lacquer is it dries very quickly, and if it gets damaged, it's very easy to fix. Okay, here's a pro tip. Always put the wood, the front knob, and the tote on first. Makes it a lot easier to put the frog in. You notice there with the frog, I've already assembled the brass knob and the little horseshoe feature on the back that makes the adjustment to move the frog back and forth. Do that while it's off the plane, much easier to do. When setting the frog, I like setting it about 1/8 of an inch away from the back side of the mouth. And that seems to work, and then you still have to do a little bit of adjustment, but it seems to be about 1/8 of an inch is a good starting point. So it's the very leading edge of the frog in relation to the mouth. This has to be snug, doesn't have to be real tight here, just snug. Don't go overboard tightening these down, otherwise it's going to be difficult to adjust the frog with the screw on the back. So I temporarily misplaced the brass screw top on the front knob there. I eventually found it. You'll see on the lever cap I painted the entire section white and ended up scraping off the paint off of the letters with a screwdriver. When setting the chip breaker on top of the iron, I like to set the chip breaker about 1 millimeter or 2 behind the front edge of the iron. Still do a little scraping of paint. I did flatten out the top of that frog on my work sharp. You see how nice and shiny these things are. Again, I've used a combination of the vinegar, a brass wire wheel, and different buffing compounds to get it looking brand new. Okay, so now for the really fun part. Does it work? Quite honestly, it took me about 5 minutes to get the frog adjusted correctly and the depth, and I'm skipping that part. It's working just fine. I'm loving it. I love that sound. Here I'm trying it on a piece of oak. That first piece was some more of that Paduke. And yeah, this project is coming out very nice. Very happy I did it. And I'm getting whisper thin shavings, which is what I love to see. I'll say it again, if you haven't tried one of these projects, please do. You can get these things for as little as $5 at different yard sales or maybe on Facebook Marketplace. So I love the combination of the orange handles and the white plane. So hey, you guys know the drill. If you're liking my content, please share it with your friends. Like, drop me a comment. Let me know how you think I'm doing. If you have any ideas for any other projects that you would like to see, let me know. Put that in the comments. And this concludes what I'm calling my Patriot Plane series. So it's a 6, 7, and 8. And I think they came out just looking wonderful. Some people like to keep the original black, but I like a little bit of color and a little flair on this particular project, these 3 planes, and I'm just loving how it looks. So until next time, have fun in your shop, stay safe in your shop, and thanks for spending a little bit of your day with me. And that one wraps up. Here's what it looks like on my wall. Next project is going to be a plane tilt, so tune in for that. I'm going to start that later today. Bye-bye.